Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my Monday Night Raw review. And tonight's Raw was held from the Allstate Arena in Rosemont, Illinois. And we're coming off of the Super Showdown, which happened on Saturday. Which happened in Melbourne, Australia. And I gotta say, tonight's Raw, I thought it was a so-so show. I mean, I enjoyed parts of Raw tonight, but all in all, it was just a so-so show. I mean, some things I liked, some things I didn't. So it was a so-so show in my opinion. Tonight's Raw. So let's get started with the review. So the show started off, it opened up with Triple H and Shawn Michaels coming out. Of course, you know, Triple H had his match with The Undertaker at Super Showdown this past Saturday. And, you know, Shawn Michaels was in Triple H's corner. Kane was in Undertaker's corner. And so Triple H gets on the mic and says, you know, 25 years is a long time to climb a mountain. And, you know, he's talking about, you know, he says that, you know, Taker, you know, climbed the mountain because, you know, it's the most, you know, deadliest mountain. And he says he and Shawn Michaels should be standing at the top because on Saturday, you know, they both made it to the summit of the mountain. And then they show, you know, clips of the match from Super Showdown. Then, you know, after the clips were over, Triple H, you know, goes on to talk about, you know, respect, saying, you know, respect is not something, you know, he and Shawn Michaels, you know, give. And he goes on to say it takes a lot of earning to get his respect. So it was just pretty much that, you know, Triple H was talking about, you know, respect. And Shawn Michaels, you know, says sometimes you respect what someone used to be and used to represent. And that respect is no longer a two-way street, as what Shawn Michaels ended up saying. And Triple H says, you know, he asks a question, you know, which was for, you know, Undertaker and Kane, you know, the Brothers of Destruction. And Triple H says, you know, Crown Jewel, are you ready? So pretty much this match between, you know, well, I'll get to that though. But then Shawn Michaels says, you know, DX is ready. And he also goes on to say that, you know, the Brothers of the, you know, he says, you know, Brothers of Destruction, says, you know, he ends up saying this out of no respect at all. And so Shawn Michaels goes and says, we got 2 words for you. And the crowd goes, suck it. So, and this crowd tonight was really cool. It was really awesome crowd tonight. This was a good crowd for Raw tonight. And so pretty much that explains it. You know, it's going to be the Brothers of Destruction, Undertaker and Kane versus DX, Triple H and Shawn Michaels at Crown Jewel. I originally thought this was going to happen at Survivor Series, but eventually it's happening at Crown Jewel. So, and this DX, you know, kind of, you know, they had like a little DX reunion tonight with Triple H and Shawn Michaels. And they had, you know, a brand new looking DX shirt, which is probably going to be up on Shop soon, on WWE Shop. So, and this whole, you know, DX, you know, little reunion, it's not going to be, you know, that long. It's just going to be for, you know, Crown Jewel. So, yeah, I mean, it was a enjoyable way to open Raw with Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Then we had the first match tonight. It was Bobby Lashley versus Kevin Owens. And this was, you know, a decent match. you had Lio Rush out there. They gave him a mic. They gave him, a mic out there. Like he was, he was, he was like talking on the mic, and just helping Lashley, do good in the match. He was distracting at some points Kevin Owens, and basically, he was pretty much, as the match went on, he kind of got annoying on the mic. It was definitely annoying me a little bit. But Bobby Lashley ended up winning the match. Ended up hitting a cutter to Kevin Owens to score the win. Then after the match, we saw Leo and Lashley walking up the ramp. They stop. Leo kind of talked something to Lashley, and Lashley ended up going back to the ring, and he went for Kevin Owens's injured knee, and so then he hit Owens' injured knee into the steel post, and then he ended up hitting Kevin Owens' other leg into the steel post. So right there was a double turn. So Bobby Lashley from that, is now a heel, and Kevin Owens, turned him, probably making him a baby face. So he had a double turn, and Bobby Lashley needed this. He pretty much needed this this heel turn, and hopefully WWE doesn't screw up, Lashley's, Lashley being a heel. I hope, they don't screw it up. The WWE creative, hopefully, they do it justice with Lashley's heel turn. But, like I said, Bobby Lashley, really needed this. Really needed this turn. So, but all in all, Bobby Lashley versus Kevin Owens, it was a decent match. Even though we had Lio Rush, being annoying as the match, went on the mic. So, then we had Finn Balor and Bayley. They were getting interviewed. They were having a mixed match challenge rematch against Alicia Fox and Jinder Mahal tonight. Pretty much that says who wins right there. So then they were interrupted by Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush. Lio ends up saying, did you see, what Bobby Lashley did out there to Kevin Owens? And Lashley ends up saying he ripped Kevin Owens into pieces. So and that was, pretty much that. That's what happened, backstage. Then we had Elias. Yeah, at that point, I was like, gonna reach for my pillow, here, because every time, it's the same old shit with Elias. Comes out, strums a few bars on his guitar, and he was out there, and he was saying, when these legends speak about WWE, they are speaking of him. Like when Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Kane, speak of WWE, they are speaking of him, as what Elias said. And he says, one man that knows this is John Cena. And he goes on to say that John Cena knows deep down that WWE stands for Walk with Elias. And Elias says he is always willing to admit when he's wrong, but the circumstances in Australia wasn't his fault. And he ends up saying that he wrote a song about it. And he says, he says, losing in Australia, he sings it, and he says, he lost in Australia. The loss in Australia wasn't fair. and he was distracted by things, and he goes and makes a joke about Cena's hair, and he ends up saying, you know, when things couldn't get any worse, they sent him to Chicago, which got, you know, boos from the crowd. And he says, you know, the Australia food was gross. He thinks he caught, you know, a disease from being there. And he also says he knows the Cubs, the Chicago Cubs, won't be in the World Series, which end up getting a boos from the crowd. Then Ronda Rousey ended up coming out, and that pretty much ended Elias's segment. You know, the promo from Elias. But it's same old shit with Elias. Then we had Ronda Rousey and the Bellas versus the Riott Squad. This was their rematch. This was the rematch from Super Showdown. 6-woman tag team match. You know, we saw this on Saturday, and we had at one point where Liv Morgan and Brie Bella were in the ring, and you know, Liv Morgan was going, you know, all out on Brie Bella, still trying to get her revenge on Brie after what Brie did 2 weeks ago, and you know, pretty much basically the match ended with Ronda Rousey. She ended up applying the armbar to Ruby Riott. Ruby ended up tapping out. So Ronda Rousey and the Bellas win. So yeah, so pretty much basically what happened, you know, at Super Showdown, what you saw on Saturday. Only Ronda, you know, only applied the armbar to Ruby, where at the Super Showdown she did the double armbar to Sarah Logan and Ruby Riott. And after the match, this was in an article. This was revealed today that there was going to be a heel turn tonight on Raw. And after the match, the Bellas end up attacking Ronda. And, you know, pretty much this was basically, you know, predictable. This is going to set off. This was confirmed that, you know, it's going to be Nikki Bella versus Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's Championship at Evolution. This is going to be the main event, and just by this, it's confirmed. It was confirmed right here, and we all knew it. So Ronda ends up throwing punches at Nikki Bella. Then the Bellas, you know, get the upper hand. They throw Ronda into the post, to the steel post. They end up throwing her into the steps, and also into the barricade. And they both, you know, put Ronda back into the ring. And the Bellas end up, you know, both standing on top of Ronda. So, but it was predictable. We all knew it was coming. If you read the articles on wrestling news sites today, you all knew it there. And we all knew that Ronda versus Nikki was going to be the main event at Evolution, because they had a leaked card for Evolution that was revealed I think it was like a month ago, where it showed Nikki versus Ronda in the main event for Evolution. So this match for a main event at Evolution, who's looking forward to it? Who's looking forward to this match at Evolution? I sure as hell ain't. So, yes, all in all, match, Ronda Rousey and the Bellas versus Riott Squad. 6-woman tag team match. If you saw it on Saturday at the Super Showdown, it was the same thing that happened, same thing that you saw here tonight. Then we had Finn Balor and Bayley versus Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox. Mixed tag team match. The rematch from the Mixed Match Challenge last Tuesday. Pretty much what you saw last Tuesday. Do I need to explain who wins this match? Finn Balor and Bayley end up winning. Finn end up hitting the coup de grace on Jinder Mahal to score the win. And moving on. The Dogs of War were in the locker room. Dolph says tonight, ends up saying to them that tonight they go after, the Shield, and he wants, Strowman to take them down. And Drew McIntyre says, he's getting sick of Dolph trying to call the shots, and he says instead of Dolph worrying about him, he should worry about pulling his weight around here. And Strowman has heard enough of it. And Strowman says tonight they're going to put the Shield down. And he doesn't want to hear any excuses from the both of them, from Dolph and Drew. So then we had Heath Slater. He approaches Baron Corbin, saying that he wants in the WWE World Cup tournament, which is gonna be happening at Crown Jewel. And Heath Slater asks Corbin, he wants to be put into the Global Battle Royal, which they were having tonight. And Corbin says to Slater that he is not very good. So that was what happened. Then Baron Corbin comes out for this Global Battle Royal where they had these 10 jobber guys in the ring. One of them was the Conquistador, who was a surprise, because I'll get to that in a few. I'll talk about who was the Conquistador. So Baron Corbin ends up coming out, says he can't believe he could come out here and the crowd boos him, and he ends up saying to the crowd, if they know Crown Jewel, the crowd should know that Crown Jewel is going to be historic. And one of the things it's going to feature is the WWE World Cup. And he goes on to say he could have just put himself in the tournament. And he says he's going to prove his belongings by winning this Global Battle Royal. Well, he's going to prove he belongs by winning, this Global Battle Royal. I said belongings. Excuse me for saying that. Brain fart. So, but Corbin says he's going to prove he belongs by winning this Global Battle Royal. Prove that he belongs in the WWE World Cup at Crown Jewel. So he puts over the talent. Corbin puts over the talent in the ring as being like, if the Avengers and the Justice League combined forces. And it was just these 10 guys there, and pretty much all these 10 guys were jobbers. Then they all jobbed to Baron Corbin. You had the Conquistador was the only guy who sat out of the ring for this. So it was down to Baron Corbin thought he won this whole Global Battle Royal, and he's like, oh, ring the bell. And so the Conquistador gets in the ring, and then we see the Conquistador suplex Corbin, gives him an angle slam, and right there we know that it was Kurt Angle. Conquistador ends up eliminating Baron Corbin, And, he's just doing, dancing there. Kurt Angle's just doing dancing like that. And, Baron Corbin was still on the outside. And then, the Conquistador, Kurt Angle, takes off the mask and it's revealed to be him. And so now Kurt Angle is heading to the WWE World Cup. The World Cup tournament. And so yeah, that's basically that. And then the whole shock look on Corbin's face. So that was a nice surprise of Kurt Angle there. And it was quite a surprise. So then when Raw came back from the commercial, we saw Kurt Angle was walking backstage. Charlie Caruso interviews him, welcoming him back. And Kurt ends up telling her, he ends up saying, technically, he's still on vacation. So that was all what Kurt Angle said. And then he ended up leaving. But it was a nice surprise from Kurt Angle. I really liked that. Then we had Ember Moon versus Nia Jax. This match was, meh, in my opinion. Ember Moon ended up getting the win by count out because she ended up taking out Nia outside. And after the match, Nia comes back in the ring and she ends up hugging Amber. So, meh match. Then we had Trish Stratus ends up coming out. Says, it was good to see Trish again. She ends up coming out and says, in 3 weeks, the WWE will be making history with the Evolution pay-per-view, the first ever all-women's pay-per-view. She ends up going on to talk about Alexa. And she says, last week, Alexa's moment of bliss sounded like a moment of BS. And she says she came with a Stratus of faction, meaning retaliating to Alexa's moment of bliss. And so Alexa Bliss comes out. She ends up coming out with Mickie James. Alexa ends up saying, no one cares about what Trish has to say. And so Alexa puts over Trish, saying that, that she is a legend. And, she has goosebumps being out here. And that, she watched Trish growing up and how she's seen her matches over and over again. And she ends up saying, the truth to Trish, what she thinks of Trish. And Alexa says, that Trish sucked. And, that Trish is lucky that she didn't step in the ring with Alexa. If, Alexa was around, in her career would have. And she goes up to say that her career, that Trish's career, would have been living in Alexa's shadow. And so, sorry about that, but Trish goes on to say, to Alexa, for Alexa to step in the ring, and for them to, let's do it tonight. We don't have to wait for they don't have to wait for Evolution. So Alexa comes down with Mickie James. Alexa gets in the ring, and Mickie says, this is not happening now. And the people don't deserve it. The crowd doesn't deserve it. And Mickie ends up saying to Trish that nothing good happens in Chicago. So Trish ends up saying to Mickie at Evolution, she's going to take care of business and know what a Hall of Fame beatdown looks like. So Mickie ends up saying to Trish that her and Alexa want to team up at Evolution. And so Trish says, she has to think of a partner. And she couldn't think of one. She could think of one. And then she introduces who it is. And it's revealed to be WWE Hall of Famer Lita. So that's pretty cool. That's really awesome. And then we saw Trish and Lita, end up taking down Alexa and Mickey. And originally it was supposed to be Lita versus Mickey one-on-one at Evolution. So they end up making that change. So now it's going to be Alexa and Mickey versus Trish and Lita at Evolution. So that's going to be cool. That's going to be cool to see Trish and Mickey go at it once again. It's been a while. So it's been a while since we've seen Trish and Mickey in the ring. We saw them go at it like over 10 years ago. So they had a really cool rivalry together, Trish and Mickey. So then after that we had the Shield cutting the promo where they talk about how they won't be broken, and they're not an alliance, or a friendship. They're a brotherhood. And Dean Ambrose ends up telling the Dogs of War that they might think they're rootless, but they're not the bad guys. They are. And Roman says, it doesn't matter where or when they meet, and the story will remain the same. And Seth Rollins says, they're the one true constant. So that's the promo from the Shield, because there's this match, also another rematch from Super Showdown that happens tonight. The Shield versus the Dogs of War. We saw this on Saturday at the Super Showdown. So, and then we had once again Bobby Roode and Chad Gable versus the Ascension. We have been seeing this for 6 weeks. I hope we don't see this again. I'm over seeing Bobby Roode and Chad Gable go up against the Ascension. Please end this. Please end this, WWE. We don't need to see this again and again and again. Please, end this already. It's getting fucking repetitive here. And before the match even started, you had Konner on the mic. If it was glorious when he beat Gable, both Gable and Roode in the ring. And he says they are going to end the charade and send them straight to the wasteland for good, meaning Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. So I did not care for this match. I did not give a shit for this match. Bobby Roode and Chad Gable win the match. They end up hitting the Chaos Theory on the Ascension. Did not give a shit for this match. Then after the match, AOP, the Authors of Pain, come out. They end up going after the Ascension. Then they go after Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. Start beating them down. And they end up hitting the Super Collider on both Roode and Gable. So AOP is making a statement for the tag team division on Raw. Which, by the way, in my opinion, this whole tag team division on Raw is fucking dead, in my opinion. So after that, we had Paul Heyman come out, says he's here to see a fight, and he's here to see the Shield step in the ring against the Dogs of War. And he's saying that he's here because he finds it ironic that 72 hours ago, Roman and Strowman beat each other up in Australia, and they had to get on a long flight and come to Chicago, so just to fight again. Sorry about that, but Paul Heyman ends up saying, tonight Lesnar is not watching this promo because he is sleeping at home and getting ready for double UFC thing, whatever. Who cares what we think Lesnar is doing? Sleep. He's sleeping at home like anybody gives a shit. And he ends up saying Lesnar will enter Crown Jewel as the only individual unbeaten, the Universal Champion. And he goes on to say it on November 2nd at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia. He can say that the winner will be Brock Lesnar. That's when the Shield music hits. The Shield came out. Raw went to commercial. And then when it came back, the Dogs of War ended up coming out. So we had the match, which was the main event. The Dogs of War versus the Shield. The rematch from the Super Showdown. 6-man tag team match. I have to say, this match was better than the Super Showdown match. This was a good main event. This was a really enjoyable main event. Seth Rollins was on fire in this match. It was really cool. It was really awesome. You had at one point Roman Reigns does that, that jump over the top rope, and he took out Dogs of War out there. And then it was just back and forth between between these guys. And the match ended with Drew McIntyre hitting the Claymore to Dean Ambrose. And so the Dogs of War win the match. Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler, and Braun Strowman. But it was a good main event. It was a very enjoyable main event. Much better than their Super Showdown match. So then you had after the match, Ambrose end up getting out of the ring, walks away, just leaves Seth and Roman in the ring, and he just walks to the back. So, and that ended Raw tonight. And it's WWE going, just WWE, still teasing this Ambrose heel turn, which has been stated for ever since before SummerSlam. So, who knows? WWE is still teasing us with this. So it's going to eventually happen. It's going to eventually happen soon, where just Ambrose is going to turn heel. So, but yeah, all in all, it was a good match, good main event, much better than a Super Showdown match. So, yeah. So, anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all tomorrow night for the SmackDown review and the Mixed Match Challenge review. So until then, I'll see you all tomorrow night.